strange silent film slapstick throwback that also features one man's fight against hundreds of beavers? Let's talk about Hundreds of Beavers. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watch Your Past, and I'm here to talk to you about Hundreds of Beavers, this strange, beautiful, weird film that tells the story of a drunken APPLEJACK, I think kind of apple cider alcohol salesman who has to transform himself into a fur trap in order to survive. It is a kind of a silent film. It is in black and white, which I'm going to try to use the magic of editing to become black and white. Let's see if it worked. I think it did. Maybe I can also put some cool film grain in here. We'll see. We'll see what I can do in post. But the film is in black and white. It is a silent film style movie. It only has like dialogue and some like grunts and things like that. And it just has this like weird, hilarious style. My hot take is, yeah, I definitely think you should watch it. Look, this is just a movie you're not really going to see anywhere else. It's like this odd love letter to like slapstick comedy, older style movies, but also just like indie films in general. Like the effects are like not good, but they know they're not good, so they make the most of it. It is a nice style. It feels wonderful. It feels genuine, and it has just a ton of energy and a ton of weirdness. Look, I think you should check it out. I think it's a really interesting movie. I enjoyed it. Check it out when it comes to, I think it's already out on FilmHub on April 15th, 2024. Just go see it. It is something you're not going to see anywhere else. So I'm going to tell you a little about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. It's going to be like a plot synopsis and ending section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, and then you might not, there are some weird surprises. I would turn it off when I get there. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler-free. I'll let you know when I get to the spoilers. So, in Hundreds of Beavers, you have this APPLEJACK salesman. He is selling like this apple liquor. He's very happy. He's very drunk. He's doing great. And then for some reason his like APPLEJACK store blows up. It takes all of his trees down too, and then it becomes the winter, and all of a sudden there's snow everywhere, and so he is freezing. He has to survive, and in order to do that, he has to learn how to trap fur and use that fur to kind of survive, build an empire, and also maybe impress someone. So is he able to do that? And why are there hundreds of beavers, and what is he going to do to them? You have to watch the movie to find out. So all that being said, things I liked about this movie. The first, I love the style. It is just such a unique, weird throwback style. It feels like, I don't know. I don't know my timeline very well, but maybe like a 1920s kind of movie. It is silent style. There's a film grain on it. It feels ridiculous. It feels over the top, and it feels perfect for what the movie is trying to do. The second thing I loved is I love the effects. It is a nice mix of like old school and decent effects. Like, they are bad in some respect, but they're supposed to be bad. It is like intentionally bad to mimic like an older style film. And it's perfect. Like the animals are all like people in these like animal suits. The trapper at some point gets like some furs and he's wearing this like really bad but wonderful like oversized hat. Like all the effects are perfect for what this film is going for. It feels very consistent and it feels very kind of like genuine. The third thing I love the energy. You can tell this is a project that everyone kind of loved and put a lot of heart into, and it comes through in the final movie. Like the film feels like a fun experience for everyone involved, and it kind of like bursts out of the screen when you're watching it. The fourth thing I love, it's funny. Like it's a strange kind of humor. It's not like super funny, but there are some pretty funny moments. It's got some slapstick humor. It's got some just like ridiculous situations. So it is definitely what the film is going for, and it succeeds. And the fifth thing I liked, it's kind of video gamey. It feels very video gamey at times. Like there is definitely like an inventory system. The trapper is trying to like trade things for better equipment, like in a video game. There are some sequences that feel like they're out of a video game. So if you play games, if you like games, then you're gonna like that part about this movie as well. And the last thing I love, it's just weird. It is weird, 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 and I am all about it. It is just a really fun, strange movie. So something you're probably not going to see anywhere else, so definitely check it out. Now, all that being said, things I didn't love as much about this movie, there's really only one thing, and it's not that bad. It's just a little bit long. It's not a bad length. It's an hour 45-ish, hour 48. And part of that length is because it kind of keeps changing up the formula a little bit, but there is a pretty long, drawn out part in the middle that feels like it goes a little longer than needed. It's okay. I still enjoyed the movie. I didn't really hate it, but it definitely kind of dragged in the middle of the film. So again, Don't worry, it's still a weird, interesting film. So definitely check out Hundreds of Beavers on, I think, FilmHub, April 15th, 2024, and other VOD platforms are going to follow. And so just keep an eye out for it. And if you do see it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. And I'm going to go into the ending right now and some plot. So if you don't want to know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So Hundred of Beavers starts with the main character. He is an Applejack salesman. I just looked it up. It is like an apple liqueur, like an apple liquor that is a strong apple drink. He is an Applejack salesman. He is loving life. He is doing great. But while he is celebrating, some beavers chew through the like Applejack storage vats that he has. They fall over, they destroy his, his house and his fields, and then all of a sudden it starts snowing. So he has to change very quickly. He has nothing left, and so he has to figure out what to do. Now, eventually, he runs into a trader and her and his daughter. The daughter kind of like skins the animals. The trader takes the animals and like gives money and or tools. He doesn't really have anything because he's just starting out. He's got some fish that he was able to catch, but he does see this like Santa Claus looking guy. I call him Santa Claus. I guess he's just a really good fur trader who just trades all these beaver pelts for all the money, all the supplies. That is what this Applejack salesman wants. So he starts trying to catch some fur, trying to catch some animals with varying results, usually very bad results. But he is able to get a raccoon. And again, these are not like animal raccoons. They're like people in fur suits that are like walking around mimicking those animals. Sometimes they mimic them, sometimes they just walk around normally. He's able to get a raccoon, takes this to the trapper. The trapper's daughter skins this, makes him like a fursuit. So now he is warm. He's got this wonderful, horrible like raccoon hat that is 2 times like the size of his head and a raccoon outfit. So he's doing pretty well. He's getting some experience. He tries to get some more animals, but while he is out looking, he falls into a trap. He falls into one of the other trappers' traps, the like Santa Claus looking dude. And that person seems to kind of take pity on him, sort of, gets him out of the trap, fixes his leg because his leg was broken, I think that his leg was broken one direction, like one of his legs was broken when he fell, and then like I think it was his right leg, and then when they're splinting it, it's his left leg. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. It's still funny. The Santa Claus guy splints his leg and takes him along with him while he goes to explore the various traps that he has. And he has this very complicated trap scheme. It looks like just a beautiful mind of all the places that he sets up traps. But he's doing really well. He gets all sorts of different animals. He puts them into his sled. He's got this like team of sled dogs. And again, these are like people in dog costumes that are running for his sled. It's a really silly, wonderful style. And he shows the Applejack salesman kind of the rope, shows him, how to trap, how to survive. And I think the Applejack salesman's name is John Kayak. They don't really ever say his name. I'll just start calling him either John or maybe like Applejack guy, something like that. So while they are doing this, they go visit the various traps, but they are being pursued by wolves. And so at night they will sleep, and the wolves will come and like take a couple of dogs. Like the dogs will just like disappear. There'll be some blood. And so eventually they get down to like one dog. And so unfortunately for John, he now has to help run the sled because the fur trapper's not gonna pull his own sled. So he gets enlisted to kind of help run the sleds. Eventually, one night, all the wolves attack, and John and the fur trapper try to escape. They climb up a tree. For some reason, John can climb better than the fur trapper, even though John has like a broken leg. And the wolves kind of get the fur trapper, but before he falls into the dark oblivion, he gives John the map, his map of like all the various traps that he's got, and kind of like gives him a wink saying, now it's yours. And he falls down and dies. So the next morning, after the wolves clear, he goes to kind of like look for his friend, see the carnage, and also he wants to get the furs that were in the sled. He tracks it all down to this den of wolves, but unfortunately there's too many of them. He can't get that. So he's gonna have to figure something else out. He's probably gonna have to get stronger, get some better equipment. And so he buries his friend. He like makes a cross using his teeth, like some sticks, and he uses his teeth. It's again like a very silly thing. He tries to like use his teeth to bite and carve the cross. He gets it done, and then he like spits out like a ton of blood because he was using his teeth. It's a slapstick style. It's fine, but eventually he comes back, and that cross has been taken by a beaver, and he goes to follow that beaver and sees all these beavers building a dam. And it's not just like a normal dam. It is like a fortress dam. They're like building a pyramid essentially with all these beavers like taking the wood, taking this wood and like carrying these logs to this fortress. You're like, huh, that's interesting. I wonder what's going to happen. That might be the hundreds of beavers that this film talks about. So he gets back to the trapper and he realizes he needs to kind of get some more equipment specifically to survive, but he also wants to marry the trapper's daughter. So he goes back to the trapper. He tries to get some more equipment. He slowly gets more equipment. There's a whole like video game kind of system. It's like one, I don't know, like a raccoon skin will get him like a small tiny knife, and then a couple of beaver skins will get him like some better traps. He keeps trying, he keeps getting more equipment, and he also is trying to impress the daughter, which he's doing. She seems to like him. He likes her. They have these like very kind of like private moments while she's skinning the animals. So he's like enthralled with her as she's like pulling out the guts, and they're all like felt guts from these animals. So he's trying to impress her, and eventually he wants to ask the fur trapper if he can marry her. And he says, absolutely not. If you want that, you're gonna have to bring me hundreds of beavers. And so that is where the title goes. He has to go get these beavers in order to get permission to marry the daughter. I guess in order to buy the ring, because that is one of the items on here, to then marry the daughter. So a lot of the movie is him like remaking that map. That map that he got from the fur trapper was too complicated. So he does his own exploration, kind of like a video game where you start with like a blank map, and as you explore, you learn new things. So he does his own exploration, starts to like note different things, note different observations he's made, and set up his own traps. And he gets better equipment. He keeps learning about this, and eventually he sets up like an automated beaver trap using a couple fans. He's able to like lure them in, put them through this system where they automatically get killed. And so he's able to get a good amount of beaver skins. 220, I think, is what I counted. He also sets up this trap for the wolves involving like catapulting a skunk in there and then sending the beavers in there. So I think the wolves kill the beavers, but then maybe the skunk like gasses out the wolves. It is a complicated thing, but eventually he is able to get the furs that he needs. But during his escapades, while he is getting all these furs, a new set of kind of foes seem to enter. This is like Sherlock Holmes beaver that is following him, trying to figure out who is killing all these beavers. He's exploring these murders. Eventually, he realizes it's this first trapper, and so they go and set a trap. So finally, when the Applejack salesman John has all these furs, he goes back to the fur trapper, but something doesn't seem right. The fur trapper doesn't move. He goes to see the daughter. The daughter doesn't move. Turns out this was a trap set by the Sherlock Holmes beaver. They set a trap for him. They don't get him, but they do get the beaver pelts, the 220 some odd beaver pelts that he had. The Sherlock Holmes beaver and his like assistant Watson get those and take those back to the beaver fortress. And so our young hero, who wants to get those furs to marry the love of his life, has to break in. He is able to break in by like killing a beaver, skinning it, wearing its skin in this horrible, like obvious, terrible way. It is really, really funny. He's able to get into this fortress, but it doesn't go well. He is pursuing the furs. They are being like sent down this river pathway in this fortress. He tries to get them. He isn't able to get them. He gets captured and goes on trial. He goes on trial for all the different murders that he did. It's a funny like courtroom scene where he has his own attorney who doesn't do a very good job. They show like all the horrible atrocities that he did. And he finally gets sentenced. He gets found guilty. I mean, fair. He did kill a lot of beavers. And they're about to sentence him. And that's when the like fur trapper, the Santa Claus guy, shows up. And he's like, oh, good, I'm safe. But this was a ruse. They unzip the fur trapper like outfit. And it turns out it's a beaver wearing the fur trapper skin. Kind of fair because that is what the trappers are doing. They are going to do the same thing to this to our young hero. They are going to cut him up and use his skin to make a suit. They get him on a table with a saw. It looks like things are going bad for him, but eventually he's able to wiggle free, turns into a brawl fight, fights the beavers. He has so much more experience now that he's able to take them all. After he escapes from this, he looks outside and sees the furs are going to go into a mass grave. They're going to bury these furs respectfully, but he doesn't want that. He wants these furs for his life. So he has to break out. He gets out. It turns out that as he's exploring, this fortress is a little bit more than we expected. It's not just like a beaver dam. It is like a rocket launch ship. They have a rocket that is based on like the Applejack silo or Applejack storage container that he had. They are going to launch a rocket, I think, into space There's all these scientist beavers, there's astronaut beavers, they're fueling up this rocket, they're getting ready to go. He only wants these furs. He wants these furs to get the ring to marry the love of his life. So as our hero is escaping this predicament, he accidentally knocks over one of the scientist beavers who messes up the launch, shoots the rocket off, and it kind of goes wild. Now, this also causes some issues with the dam, which starts to break, starts to leak. But our trapper only wants to get the furs. He gets out, he finds where they're buried, he takes out all the pallbearers, tries to get the furs, tries to get them to the fur trapper house. He sees it in the distance, so he pushes the furs into like a snowball, jumps on that, and tries to like ride the snowball down to the trappers. Now the beavers are none too happy about all this. He messed up their launch, and he's taking all their dead bodies. So they turn into this like mecha beaver. They all stack up on top of each other into one large beaver and try to go after him. Now, while they're fighting, the rocket like barely misses him, and one of his like Indian trapper friends who he traded with earlier is able to redirect the rocket, causes it to hit the mecha beaver, the like large beaver conglomerate, whatever you want to call it, breaks them all up, causes them to break apart. The trapper is also able to defeat the guards that are going after him. So he's able to take everyone out. And during this time, we also learned a little fact in this area. This was a Wisconsin film. This was a film that was fundraised by and like filmed, I think, all in Wisconsin. And so one thing we do find out is that the dam that the beavers made that I think broke caused the creation of Green Bay, at least in this mythology. So they have a little Wisconsin callback there. The kind of like Green Bay itself was caused by these super smart beavers that also like are kind of strange. Like, sure, why not? But back to our friend. He is riding the snowball of beaver furs, gets to the trapper's house, turns them all in. The trapper is very happy because he's got all these furs. I think it was something like 400 when they finally counted. Our friend gets the ring. He gets the love of his life. He asks her to marry him. He is about to kiss her, and that is when the fur trapper, for some reason, jumps in and kisses him too. John spits out because the fur trapper chews tobacco, so I guess that kiss was fairly intimate because the tobacco got into his mouth. He spits it out. It goes into this like spittoon, which the fur trapper has been trying to hit all movie. Every time he spits out his tobacco, he tries to hit it in the spittoon. It always fails. John finally does it. He's able to spit the tobacco in the spittoon. Hey, who knows? Maybe that shows that he's worthy of the fur trader's daughter. Maybe that just shows how much he's grown. Who knows? But that is the end of the movie. I guess in the end, he stopped the beavers. He got the ring. He got the love of his life, and he has become like the best fur trapper in Wisconsin. So that's an accomplishment, I guess. But that is Hundreds of Beavers. Like I said, it is weird. It is strange, but it's something you're not going to see anywhere else. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, kind of like right from the start. This like over the top, weird silent film callback. I loved it. So if you get a chance to see it, I definitely would recommend it. And if you do see it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you. A strange silent film a strange silent film slapstick. A strange silent film slapstick. Ah. A strange silent film slapstick throwback. A strange silent film yeah. A strange silent film strange silent film slapstick throwback.